Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show. Paul, joined by Robert Ziggy Ziegler at the University of Virginia to talk about the Commanders' 23-20 postseason win over the Buccaneers, the wild card round. Just an awesome game. So much fun to watch that. Jayden Daniels, Baker Mayfield, both teams are playing pretty good football. We talked about the games today. Eagles-Packers wasn't really that fun. Broncos-Bills wasn't even worth a reaction from us. The Texans blew out the Chargers yesterday. The Ravens blew out the Steelers yesterday. This was really the first great NFL playoff game that we had this season. And Ziggy, it feels like it was just yesterday. We were sitting here Monday night, right after a Monday night football game when the Commanders went into Cincinnati and beat the Bengals 38-33. Jayden Daniels had one of the best games of his career so far. And we were saying, this guy's special. This guy is different. He's a rookie who's proven so far to be the best rookie of this class, which has been a pretty talented rookie class. And tonight, he goes on the road against a very good Buccaneers team that had beaten the Commanders in week 1 convincingly, that had beaten the Eagles in week 2 convincingly, that had beaten the Detroit Lions. They were undefeated against the NFC playoff field. He goes on the road, goes 24 for 35, 268 yards and 2 touchdowns, gets the win. I mean, how much more can you say about Jayden Daniels at this point?
Yeah, it's Jayden Daniels. This was, rookie quarterbacks have often struggled in the playoffs. And when they win, often it's because it was a complete team performance. On offense, this was not a complete team performance. Jayden Daniels accounted for 308 of their 354 total yards. Now, obviously, De'Ami Brown played out of his mind. Best game of his career. Terry McLaurin. You could tell that all of the resentment of not making the playoffs and not winning a single series while he was there had built up with the way he exploded this game. But this was the Jayden Daniels show, first and foremost. There was no running game. The receivers, while they played all right, Jayden Daniels was a huge part of it, and he was their leading rusher on the ground. Meanwhile, the defense, it had some big plays. But also, Baker Mayfield had gotten some drives going. The Buccaneers' rushing game was going. The Commanders needed a big game from Jayden Daniels. And what Jayden Daniels has done, he took an NFL franchise with the third longest playoff game win drought in the NFL. The Commanders have been 19 years since they'd won a playoff game. The only teams longer, the Miami Dolphins, 25, and the Las Vegas Raiders, 23. This was worse than the Bears, worse than the Jets, worse than the Cardinals, the Panthers. It had been a long time since this team had done anything in the postseason. Jayden Daniels steps in, immediately transforms the culture, plays out of his mind, and as you said, a tough road playoff game. This is a franchise-transforming win for the Commanders.
Oh, absolutely. He's just been, time and time again this year, when you need to have it, he's delivered. This is a 12-5 team. We talked about it, or I talked about it during the Packers-Eagles reaction show. 12-5 is a legit record. All these NFC playoff teams, I mean, it's a loaded field. And 12-5 is not something to snooze at. You have a 12-win season. Those don't come around very often. We've done it on this show before, where we ran through the Commanders' previous seasons, wins by season. It's 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 5, 9, 5. That's what they don't have double-digit winning seasons. They've had one or something the past 25 years. And to have 12, to go on the road, get this win, they're going to go to Detroit, and we'll get to that in a second. That'll be a difficult game, but the Commanders didn't punt tonight, Ziggy. And now they didn't score on every drive, but here were their drives. They went 7 plays, 47 yards, turnover on downs. They didn't convert a 4th and 2, and an amazing amount of fourth downs for the Commanders tonight. 17 play, 92 yard, 9-minute touchdown drive. An 11-play, 37-yard field goal drive, then end of half. Then out of the half, 10 plays, 66 yards field goal, 12 plays, 67 yards, turnover on downs. The Baker fumble was next. 4 plays, touchdown, converting a 4th and goal, and then the 10-play, 51-yard drive to win it. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drives of 10 plays or more. I mean, the offense was on fire tonight. And it's got to be so fun right now if you're a Commanders fan.
Yeah, and that last drive, right, just to put into context, that was Jayden Daniels. It's 4th and 2. You absolutely need to or it's 3rd and 2, excuse me. You absolutely need to stop if you're the Buccaneers. What did the Commanders do? They put in Jayden Daniels' hand. Elijah Cansey, who's had an excellent rookie season, has been one of the most reliable players on a good Buccaneers defense, is right in his face. What does Jayden Daniels do? Stiff arms him, runs for the first down, does maybe the most beautiful QB kneel I've ever seen. Like the way he ran to the side. Like it felt like everything Jayden Daniels did this game was perfect. Even the kneeling was perfect.
He's John.
It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen a rookie play like that. And just to see how hard it is, you can look at what Bo Nix did against the Buffalo Bills today. Now, I think playing the Bills on the road is harder than playing the Buccaneers on the road. That's true. But Bo Nix did almost nothing during that game.
I love Bo Nix. He's had a good season, like a real great season. You know, they've outperformed expectations as much as anyone in the league this year. But there's a difference, the different feeling with Jayden Daniels when you watch him play. That's like, he's a superstar. He's a future superstar. And I don't get that feeling with Caleb. I don't get it. You know, Penix, it's early, and we haven't seen a lot from Penix. I don't get that with Bo right now. And maybe, you know, Caleb might get there one day. Caleb, you have moments. But Jayden Daniels, when you're watching him, you think, like you can see it. You can see that he's going to be a stud for a long time. You get the Lamar Jackson feeling sometimes. And when you have a quarterback like that, you can win any game. And that's why I think going into Detroit, yeah, they're not going to be favored. They don't deserve to be favored. The Lions are a juggernaut. Their offense has been unstoppable all year. But when you have a quarterback like that, you can beat anybody. And it's on the table. Like the Commanders play with a lot of heart. Dan Quinn's done a great job there. And you have a quarterback who's just a badass. And I'd be so pumped up going into next week where it almost feels like, remember the Bengals a couple of years ago, Ziggy, when we were talking about how like it feels like they have nothing to lose because they haven't been here before. They're just playing. And they don't understand the significance of this. Now, I don't want to speak for the whole Commanders team because, you know, there's Bobby Wagner's there. You have Austin Eckler. Terry McLaurin's been around a while. But with Jayden Daniels, it's like, yeah, he's just playing football. And he's really damn good at it. So I think the Commanders are playing with house money. No one expects them to win. This is way above expectation. So go out there next week against Detroit, and let's see what happens. Like they're a talented football team. I think they can win that game.
Yeah, this Commanders team, I think, is one of the most fun teams to watch left in the playoffs. Jayden Daniels might be he's up there with guys like Lamar Jackson and how fun it is to watch him play football. I'm really excited to see what this Commanders team does. And like you say, right? House money. They weren't expecting to get this far. They're here now.
It was funny at the end of the game, too. They're talking about Jayden Daniels, John, with the Bucs defense. And it was just like I enjoyed watching that as well. Just he's confident enough. He's not cocky, doesn't feel like it, but you can tell that there's a swagger to him. And frankly, like when the ball's in his hand at the end of the game, I think he's going to get the job done. So it's really kudos to the Commanders. Our good friend Blake Buchowski was at the game tonight. Commanders fan, been a Commanders fan his whole life. He was cheering them on. It looked like just an awesome game to be at. On the Bucs side of things, it's kind of devastating for Tampa. You know, that fumble really changed things. 17-13 in the fourth quarter when Baker has the fumble exchange. And that turned everything because Washington scored 4 plays later to take a 2017 lead. Tampa was unable to put in the end zone when they got down in Washington territory. And here you are walking away from yet another division-winning season with a wild card round loss. And it sucks because, you know, Baker was so good this year. Led the league in touchdown, or top 5 in the league in touchdown passes. To lose in this fashion where it felt like to me when they had the ball up 4, I thought they were going to go on one of those drives to put it away. You can't help but feel a little bad for Tampa Bay, who's been, again, 10-7. They didn't have the record of the Commanders or some of the wild card teams in the NFC, but they had as many quality wins as anyone in the league, especially in the NFC. And it felt like they had a potential run in them, especially if they won. Go into Philly, a team they've beaten the past few times they've played. So heartbreak for the Buccaneers, but again, a good season for them, just unable to get that playoff win.
Yeah, I think there are questions about what the Bucs are building towards, what they're going to do this postseason, and those will all come. The thing that baffles me about the way that the Bucs played this game, and this comes down to Todd Bowles. It's 4th and 3 at the Commanders' 14. There's 4 minutes left. You're down 3. You've seen what Jayden Daniels and this Commanders offense have been able to do all game. They haven't punted the ball. They haven't turned it over. I know there have been some turnovers on downs or whatever, but this offense is good. You've seen game. and hoping your defense can get it done. I think that was just crazy.
I don't know if I agree with that, Ziggy. It's 4th and 3, and yeah, you got to tie the football game, I think. I think you have to tie the football game.
Yeah, tie the football game, give it to Jayden Daniels, tell him a field goal and you win the game. What do you think is going to happen?
I mean, it was a great drive. It was a 5-minute.
You go for the win. You take more clock off. You can go up 4. No, I don't understand that field goal decision at all.
I guess if you look back at the drives, basically every Washington drive had eaten up about 4 minutes or more. So maybe you can look at the stats from this game specifically and say
of their last 4 real drives, 3 of them had a touchdown or a field goal.
I still think you got to tie the game. It's the playoffs. Like, you might not be confident in your defense.
Yeah, it's the playoffs. It's the perfect opportunity to kick a field goal, lose the game, and say, we really need to tie
obviously,
it. So you
looks
can go
like
to
a bad
overtime
call.
and have this is the thing, right? Like, say you do manage to get it to overtime, which is sort of the best outcome from that situation. If you go to overtime, you still don't have
the best outcome from that situation. The best outcome from that situation is that you get the ball back and you have a chance to kick a field goal to win the game, as opposed to
not going to happen.
Or you think the worst case scenario, you don't get it and the Commanders run out the clock and you just straight up lose the game. Like, I don't know. I think you got to put points on the board and tie it, and have faith in your defense to not let Washington run the clock out and do exactly what Washington did. But I would have kicked the field goal. It just. Yeah, I guess I would have walked home losing though. So you in hindsight's 2020. But.
The defense has done almost nothing all night.
Yeah, they had done nothing all night. Well, all right, 23-20. Commanders beat the Bucs. They will be going to Detroit to take on the Lions next week. The Vikings and the Rams kick off tomorrow night from Arizona. The winner of that game will go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Ziggy, the nightmare scenario that we saw coming back in week 7. Yeah, in week 7 has come true, where we said Vikings are going to have an all-time season. They'll probably lose like 2 or 3 games, and will wind up going on the road to Philadelphia in the second round. Exactly what we said was going to happen 2 months ago, or 3 months ago.
Oh, you're still thinking too far ahead, man. The Vikings need to win this game against the Rams.
We're going to beat the Rams. We're going to beat the Rams.
That's the nightmare scenario. We lose this game.
Oh, God. We're going to beat the Rams. I refuse to believe we're going to lose that game. I'm all in on my teams. I'm a believer. I had a realization that, if I don't believe, I guess if I don't believe, who the hell cares? But if I don't believe, then how can I expect my team to believe? So I believe that we can get this done. I believe Notre Dame can beat Ohio State. I'm all in. I'm all in on winning. Is that good enough for you? All right. So there you have it. 23-20 Commanders win. We'll be back with more reaction content tomorrow night after the Vikings-Rams game. Really hoping that is a positive reaction show. We'll see you then.